Hello and welcome, foolish mortals. This is Emily.
And Clayton, your ghost hosts. And today is the final day for this Winnie the Pooh thing.
No, it's not.
Oh, sorry.
The lies.
We're at least watching, or Clayton has watched. I have now seen the mini adventures of Winnie the Pooh
for the very first time.
And now today we're going to talk about it, not the making of. We're going to talk about our thoughts about it, but mostly my thoughts about it. But Emily will obviously talk to that. But I think without further ado, Emily,
it's time to make it magical. Before we get started on all our thoughts on the many adventures of Winnie the Pooh, let's do a little mousekeeping.
A lot of movie-based mousekeeping, actually. We went to go see Elio yesterday, as of when we're recording this, obviously. But we went to go see it this weekend. Yeah, it was a movie.
I'm unsure.
It was certainly a movie.
I'll just say it wasn't bad. It wasn't horrible. It was just okay.
It was okay.
Which,
it wasn't
for Pixar. It's sad for me to walk away from a Pixar film just thinking it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. Is definitely a way to give that movie a review. It's okay. I don't think it's great. I don't even think it's very good.
I'll put it this way. Go see it for yourself, form your own opinions. I wouldn't just rest on anyone else what their take is on anything. Go see it for yourself and make your own decision on it.
Yeah, I thought the movie and kind of the story and what they were trying to do with some of the characters was fortunately a bit shallow. Some of the visuals looked amazing.
There's good ideas there. That's what's the problem. Like, that's one of the things that drives me nuts is when I can see there are seeds of things that could be really good and it doesn't deliver in quite the way I want.
Yeah, I think like this movie's an hour and a half. I was
almost waiting. Okay, I hate saying. I feel so bad saying this. I was waiting for it to be over.
I think I'm like trying to think.
Don't no one be mad at me.
I'm trying to think if it's better if you keep it an hour and a half, but you rework the story and do some of the backstory stuff we were talking about, or you give it half an hour, but then you run the risk of just having 2 hours.
This episode isn't an Elio review.
But yeah, it was certainly a movie. Go see it for yourself. Don't go into all the hubbub about where killing original movies because
Disney's made a statement which drives me nuts. It makes me so angry. They're trying to blame it on the consumer and saying, well, this is the reason we don't make original movies anymore because people don't go and see them. To which I respond, first of all, I didn't even know Elio was out.
Yeah, it was not
at
marketed.
all.
Now I know why it wasn't
marketed. The live action Lilo and Stitch movie was out because they spent so much money on promoting that.
Yeah.
Elio, I had no clue when it was coming out. So it's kind of hard for people to go see it when Disney doesn't even believe in it themselves and isn't willing to put the money in to market it.
Yeah.
So that's part of the problem. Also, another part of the problem, they need to make like just genuinely really, really good movies. It needs to be good and you need to market it.
Does everyone see how I got her going on that?
You're poking the bear over here.
Push her over the ledge.
You're pushing my buttons.
Let's move on. Let's get out. Let's not talk about the original.
Note. I hope this isn't a sign of them giving up on original movies. I want them to keep pursuing, but put their all into it.
Well, you notice that they can't make up their mind. When Snow White released, we're done making live action. Lilo and Stitch made a bunch of money. We're back to making live action. They don't know what... They don't know what... I'm just saying they don't know what key to take off because they themselves are clueless. So with every performance of a movie, they are wishy-washy. They don't have an actual direction.
This is no longer a fun conversation.
Okay, well, okay. In any case, in other movie news, we were watching Clayton has somehow convinced his wife to rewatch all the Mission Impossibles. You have to note that this is a monumental task. Emily is not a Mission Impossible fan. She's not really a Tom Cruise fan. I don't
dislike them. They're just not my kind of movie.
They're not her kind of movie.
I see the appeal. I think they're good films. They're just not like the ones I gravitate towards.
Emily not an action adventure stan, you know. She's just
unless
there.
It's Indiana Jones. That's my action adventure.
So I somehow managed to get her to rewatch them all. I don't even remember how that happened. It must have been a fever dream, but it happened.
It's because I said I want to make you happy.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, we were watching Mission Impossible 4, otherwise known as Ghost Protocol, Tom Cruise's climbing the Burj Khalifa.
And you know how I say details always matter. Pay attention.
This was actually directed by a Disney connection. This was directed by Brad Bird, who directed The Incredibles. And Emily, I had to give her credit. She noticed a little Easter egg
So, whoa, rewind
in Mission
that.
Impossible that I had never noticed. So in the very beginning of the movie, there's a little spy chase scene. And he's got a little class ring on it.
They do a major zoom in on this class ring. I was staring. I'm like, it immediately, it's very quick. You need to pay attention. It immediately flashed away from, like, wait a second. I think I saw something. Rewind.
And lo and behold, A113 is on the class ring. And that
if you
is,
don't know
course,
what that means.
Yeah, that is, of course, the classroom that all the Pixar people learned from the 9 old men at the
California Institute of the Arts.
Close.
Fun fact, I did
College.
actually tour that campus when I was looking at colleges.
Yeah, because what could have been? C'est la vie. But Emily, actually, last night,
Well,
we were...
Also, so for A113, the big thing is typically that's featured in Pixar films. It's hidden as an Easter egg in all of the films, and you need to have a very close eye to find them. They can be pretty tricky. So upon me, I didn't know Brad Bird even directed this film. The Mission Impossible one.
Either,
so I wasn't looking for anything. I just happened to notice, wait a second, what's A113 doing in here?
Wait a second.
Cool.
Now, you might be also asking yourself, well, Emily, if you went to Cal Arts, how could you possibly say the statement that you made last night? We were watching the Imagineering story for the who knows how many time. Emily picked it. It's her weekend to pick
There's
stuff.
not too many times.
She picked it. So she picked it. We're watching it. They're talking about the 1964 World's Fair. They're talking about Small World. They're talking about Mary Blair. And we just went to the Mary Blair gallery exhibit that they had at the Walt Disney Family Museum. So you should have heard us shouting at the TV screen.
We've seen that.
We've seen that exact print because they had all these prints that they show in the Imagineering story when they're talking about Mary Blair at the exhibit at the Walt Disney Family Museum. But Emily made a tremendous comment. This is only possible if she went to San Jose State. She's like, I'm just like Mary Blair.
Okay, let's be clear. I don't mean it as far as talent. I said I am trying to capture the Mary Blair spirit, I think.
I'm just like Mary Blair. She went to San Jose State. I went to San Jose State. What was the other thing you said?
She doesn't have very good eyesight.
That was right. She doesn't have very good eyesight.
I'm slowly losing my eyesight.
So that was Emily's tremendous comment of the night.
Hey, there's a bright side to everything.
But then Emily...
Losing your eyesight means you're kind of like Mary Blair.
That was short-lived, though, that comedy, because then Emily was a wreck and a mess when they talked about the passing of Walt.
But let's just take a moment to just honor and respect how proud I am of you. Clayton, my friends, he has been upgraded to new Nerdum Disney status. Yes, it has happened. He is upgraded. I wasn't even expecting it. Now, in a thing like the Imagineering story, when they show pictures of Walt with all these other famous people and they don't have the names indicating who they are, Clayton just looks at the phone and says, oh my gosh, that's Yale Gracie. Go listen to our Haunted Mansion deep dive series if you want to learn all about him. But Clayton's like, I'd recognize Yale Gracie anywhere. It's not marked. They don't tell you it's Yale Gracie. He just recognizes people now. Oh, that's Blaine Gibson. I'm like, oh, well done, Clayton.
I was pointing at the TV screen because Walt is wearing his tie with his STR, which is his little pin he wore, which is actually even captured on the partner statue. So make sure to keep an eye out and look at Walt's tie when you're in the parks, because you'll even see the STR, which stands for Stone Sage. I don't remember.
Smoke Tree Ranch.
Yeah, Smoke Tree Ranch.
Also, look out for when the Walt Disney Animatronic Show debuts in Disneyland. I've already seen the detail. They're trying to get really authentic with everything. For his tie, they've embroidered it on there to put STR to make it true to life.
Think he's got a Claddagh ring?
Okay. I hope so.
Let's move on. We have a new review.
More excitement.
Oh, sorry. Some of us have been up for several hours already, and it's only 11:30, so you can do the math. So some of us have been up. So let me get my podcasting chipper smile on.
I'll just tell you, this review will really pump you up.
Okay, let's get pumped. We have a new review. Spoonful of Magic 101.
Times 101.
Oh, times
101.
Oh, I was thinking it was like the class, Spoonful of Magic 101, But
what?
How like when you go to college and it's like your introductory courses Economics 101.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought that's what I thought.
There's
I thought
an
we
X,
were.
though.
I missed that. I skipped part of that.
Spoonful of magic
I get
times
that.
101.
I get that. I get that now. Yes. So 5 stars. I understand that now.
Or it could just be saying we're really basic.
I've captured that now. I've got it.
This is the most basic spoonful of magic.
Hey,
I don't think it's. I think it's times 101.
What? Okay. Been listening
5
to this.
stars.
5 stars. Let me get pumped up. Been listening to this podcast for quite a while, and I stand by what I said previously. It's like pulling the sword from a stone.
Out of the stone.
Oh, out of the stone. Excuse me. So this means this is a revision.
Rewrite. Yes.
Yeah.
This is a much longer review also than the previous one.
Because I remember
that this listener wrote.
reading these words before. It's so magical and exciting. There's so much enthusiasm that goes into each episode, and you can feel the love for Disney. Living in Michigan, I can't go to Disney as often as I'd like, but listening to this podcast gives me the dose of Disney magic that I need. Listening to Emily and Clayton definitely pulls me out of my depression funks, and Emily is the kindest soul, and I'm so blessed to have her as a friend and travel agent, and this is from Joy, and then she basically said, and Clayton is fun too. I'm just kidding. I'm
like crying over here.
I'm just joking. I'm just kidding. Come on. I'm just kidding. That was a great review.
Great. That was so sweet.
Your words are very kind.
Clayton is ruining it. I apologize, Joy.
I'm sorry.
I
couldn't help myself.
Apologize for my husband's behavior.
I could not help myself. I'm sorry. But thank you so much for the kind words. They mean a lot.
It means everything.
The generous review. It does mean a lot to hear those kind words. If you're enjoying the show, we would love it if you could go leave an Apple Podcast review. If you're new to the show, that'd be great. It helps us mainly feel really good. We'll read them on the show. And we would love to have you follow along on the Make a Magical Story. If you're over on YouTube side, if you could subscribe to the channel, like, and leave a comment down below. We celebrate every subscriber we get.
We do.
We got a couple tick ups over the weekend, and it's like a little mini party.
Just plus 1 subscriber. I scream. So we do genuinely appreciate any form of support we get from people, any review, any rating, any interaction, each subscriber. It all means all the likes, no matter what number. Every single bit is very important to us, and it means the world. So thank you, everyone who supported us so far. However you choose to support, whether it's just watching, listening, liking, we appreciate it all.
Yeah. I think with that, we can probably get into it. Of course, that means we got to start with a little thing, which I've noticed actually is a very common Disney phrase. What would Walt do? Because it's actually episode 2.
You recognize this now?
No, I know it now, but I've just, since I've become, what do you call me now? Super mega Disney nerd or something?
Yeah.
Ultra mega super, like, it is time for What Would Walt Do?
It is. This one comes from a Mr. Wooly Reitherman. Who's that, Clayton?
He's the director of the first 2 shorts of this.
Correct. He said once, most cartoons nowadays rely on slapstick and a lot of action, but in Pooh, there isn't any of that. The beauty is in the tenderness and warmth of the characters. Thought this was pretty good to lean into our many adventures of Winnie the Pooh discussion.
No, it's a great quote.
All right, so before we get started on our little conversation, I just wanted to point out a couple things here. Just a reminder, this film would release March 11th, 1977. It was actually nominated in the American Film Institute's top 10 animated films list. Pretty big deal. And it has a Rotten Tomatoes score of 100%.
Okay.
It's pretty tricky to do.
It is pretty tricky to do. Means only glowing reviews from back in the day and new ones, I guess. I don't know.
I'm not sure.
I don't actually know how Rotten Tomatoes works anymore.
All right, now I'm sure the people can't wait any longer. We've been talking about this since the very first episode. This is why this whole Winnie the Pooh series deep dive, we've done it, is because you've never seen, until now, the many adventures of Winnie the Pooh.
That is true.
So in a sentence, after seeing it for the very first time, what were your thoughts going into this as an adult? What is your takeaway?
I thought it was very good. I thought it was a fantastic, very well done, very lovingly animated. I loved the animation for it. I thought it was fantastic.
Okay, well, we'll get into all the reasons why now, I guess. Let's start off, since this was also the beginning of our series. We talked about the books came first, and then Walt found that it brought a lot of joy to his daughters, and that's how he decided he wanted to get the rights and make his own animated version. So how do you feel the movie actually compares to the books? I mean, you only read the first one, but it's a pretty similar, it hits the same beats going into the house on Pooh Corner. So what do you feel comparing the two?
No, I think they're definitely, I think it's like they're literally taken out of the page and put into
literally
animation.
taken out of the book.
It's literally taken out of the book and put into a book in a screen in an animated movie. But I thought I mean, it's like the perfect thing to adapt in that way because you can just tell it word for word out of the book and in the movie or in the featurettes.
Yeah.
And it will translate very well. So I think, because I know Little Black Rain Cloud, or what is it? Which one? Yeah. That's basically word for word. And then I like how they have the hunting the Woozles bit. That was always my favorite bit
later in the movie.
Yeah, later in the movie. So I think I think it translates fantastically well. And it's a perfect translation / adaptation in the way that it's like perfect for that kind of way that they managed to do it.
I agree. And even with the characters, they do capture each of their individual unique charms. Like that translates very much to the film, which I think is a very hard task to do with characters that are so different than like Walt's Worry than American audiences had been subject to previously. Like Pooh is the exact same. Like the way he speaks, pretty much the source material is not word for word, but it relies very closely, and it's not just inspired. It takes a lot of inspiration. It takes almost sometimes, word for word, but does a Disney spin on it to make it different.
Well, that's how they're presenting it too, because the book opens up. That's how you get into it, and it's his name is on there on the title on A.A. Milne.
It's a perfect way to start a movie.
Yeah.
One thing I did find interesting reading, I think it's in the first Winnie the Pooh book, there's a whole chapter dedicated to Rabbit kidnapping Roo. Like, I can kind of understand why maybe Disney decided to skip out on this one. It's very strange.
Yeah, old Long Ears is a bit of a menace in the 100 Acre Wood. No more bouncing, Tigger. No, he said he can't bounce anymore. He's not gonna. I did like that little bit there in the final featurette where Rabbit's like losing his mind.
He slowly is going insane.
And then Tigger comes down. He's like, no, he says he's not going to bounce anymore. I heard him. Anyone else hear that? Okay, let's get him down. He's no more bouncing. Okay.
All right. What about the actual storybook elements and how the book is almost a character in itself along with the added narrator? Because obviously with the book, you kind of get little bits and pieces from the story where the actual A.A. Milne writer is sometimes breaking the wall, and him and his son Christopher Robin are interjecting within the story, but that's not as heavily prominent as creating this whole new narrator character, which is like omnipresent, kind of like the ghost host.
No, I actually really love this dynamic. So this is just for the movie, is it not?
The narrator?
Yeah. Just not in the featurettes. It's just in the movie that the narrator's there.
No, he's in the featurettes.
Oh, he's still in the featurettes. Okay. So I think it's a fantastic dynamic to do it because again, I think it really translates well from what you're trying to come from the Pooh books.
You have a lot of fun with it too.
And you have a lot of fun with it. I think some of my laughed at moments the most were literally narrator interactions with the characters because I think it just adds another layer of comedy that you can appreciate and a dynamic that works really well. Because it's kind of like that is very similar, like you said, something that's come out of the book where they like in the very first Pooh story, they're almost interjecting Christopher Robin, the real Christopher Robin, and the real narrator A.A. Milne in that case are interjecting and talking
as a father reading a storybook to his child.
So I think it's a great thing to have in the movie as well. It really captures the essence of what the Pooh stories are.
It's the fun, the charm, all of that just enhances it by really leaning heavily into the fun of these characters being within a storybook. Like Winnie the Pooh jumping over pages, them actually the characters interacting with the type on the pages, like climbing it like a ladder. I really love the part, it's towards the very end when Tigger like the narrator's talking and then Tigger says, wait, who are you? Like things like that are just so great.
I think it's clever.
To me, that's one of the biggest things I love about this film because it's not afraid to just have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
How was the overall flow of the film to you? So we obviously, with doing this whole history, we know that it was started out as 3 separate shorts. Did it feel disjointed to you at all going into it knowing that? And do you feel like Walt was right from the very beginning to envision this as a full-length feature?
I did notice. I mean, it's kind of.
Do you say I did or didn't?
I didn't really notice, or at least
you can tell when it's
you
transitioning.
can tell because you kind of the subject of everything is kind of changed so drastically. But honestly, if you didn't know that it was a featurette, you probably wouldn't even question it.
You would just feel like this was how the film was made. It's just a fun way to progress the story because each moment when they're transitioning between the shorts, it's just another great moment for the narrator to usually talk to Winnie the Pooh. And Pooh being Pooh, he says, well, am I featured in the next story? He always makes it about himself. Well, where am I? What am I doing?
And I think that's just clever. And I mean, it's very much how the books are. So again, I think it works very well. I don't think it's a drastic thing. And I do think that obviously we know in hindsight that doing the feature length was right, but how they managed to drum up all this interest by doing the featurettes
you leave the crowd wanting more.
Clearly showed that he knew what was right, the right path to go with, and his decisions proved to be the right ones. Because we talk about Pooh in the same way that a lot of people talk about Mickey Mouse and stuff like that. So
even more so, I've heard from many people that have commented on content I've posted about Winnie the Pooh saying they connect with Winnie the Pooh much more than they do Mickey Mouse.
Yeah,
I mean, Mickey Mouse is definitely the more
prominent
like figurehead of Disney when you think of what's the one character, but a lot of people, they more so like Winnie the Pooh better than Mickey.
Yeah.
It's quite a big deal.
Very interesting.
Okay, we kind of touched on the comedy a little bit. What did you think about it overall? Any favorite moments or stories?
Well, I like that bit in the first one, which is the Pooh window scene, the Pooh butt window scene.
Ah, yes. I kept, before that scene popped up, I'm like, now Clayton, remember this whole idea on how this part progresses is Walt's idea to add the comedy of Rabbit basically decorating Pooh's behind. His behind.
Yeah. That was funny. I like, again, the interactions with the narrator.
You laughed a lot during this. I really noticed. It made me so happy.
I thought that was funny. I thought it was great.
Any other favorite moments or stories from it? They don't necessarily have to be funny ones.
I thought I like the whole back and forth when they're in Al's house during the blustery day where they're going back and forth.
Yeah.
Their Piglet goes screaming out the door and then back in. I thought that was pretty clever.
There's a lot of really standout moments when the whole 100-acre wood is flooded. It leads to a lot of great imagery. The music that goes along with the scene as well. The Piglet's entire message in a bottle. It's like, help, please, help me, Piglet.
Yeah. There was obviously I laughed a lot as you said. So I'm trying to think if there's anything other that's. I kind of like how Tigger gets the one over on Rabbit a bunch, old Mr. Long Ears.
Yeah.
And how it just drives him absolutely insane. He does not know what to do with himself and trying to get him to stop bouncing. And then, I thought it was hilariously clever. I think a lot of the comedy, surprisingly, for being 50 years old, really is.
It's still incredibly funny and smart for it coming out so long ago. It still holds up incredibly well. Now, obviously, this movie is spread out into 3 acts. Did you have a standout act?
Blustery Day, I think, is the best one by far, for sure.
I think that is probably my favorite as well. However, as I was thinking more about it, each act, there are still moments that I really love. It's not as if it falls flat towards the end. There's still really funny stories. The characters are great. So if anything, it's like there isn't a moment that falls flat for me.
No, I wouldn't think that there's like I think Blustery Day just manages to stand out that much more And maybe some of that is retrospective, having known its legacy.
It's true.
But I do think that it's the best portion of the movie by far. Maybe not by far is not, maybe by far is not the right way to say that, but it definitely to me stands out above the other two shorts as the best portion of the movie for sure.
Yes, but all 3 acts, they do hold very strong.
Yeah.
Which is kind of surprising since there was quite a bit of time between all of these were actually produced.
Several years, in fact, right? For the second.
It could be very easily for one to stick out like a sore thumb.
Right. And again, the third one doesn't have any of the Walt, not to the same level, right? I think as the other two. So yeah, no, I think
different director too.
They managed to kind of keep it at a high bar, which is very impressive considering all the changes and all the other things going on with it.
Since you pointed out Act 2, Blustery Day, a little chunk of that happens to be this very surreal moment. So I'm very curious to hear, what are your thoughts on the Heffalumps and Woozles scene, which actually gets quite a moment to shine.
It's certainly a trip, and those animators were tripping because it definitely goes out there for sure. They cooked up some interesting scenes. I know I kind of had an understanding of what we were in for a little bit. And then they do capture some of that in the ride pretty well, but it definitely.
And it's a part of Fantasmic.
Yeah, it's definitely
it's memorable.
Memorable. There you go. It's definitely a memorable scene, and they really went all out with the animation, which is stuff you like to see. They really let their imagination soar with the animation on that one, considering it's like a one line in the book, like not even really accounted for much in the book. It's like they basically created that whole thing from scratch, which is a really cool thing that they managed to do, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Do you think you could do without it?
Do I think
I'm just curious because
it's probably
that is
not
something that
required.
Sticks out quite a bit.
Yeah, it's probably not required overall, considering in the main, it's just kind of like a bridge scene between Tigger introducing himself and when you actually get the flood rate. So it's maybe not 100% required, but it's still very.
It's meant to be Winnie the Pooh's nightmare, and he's worried about them taking his honey, which is very much in character for him.
Yeah.
So it checks out.
It checks out.
I liked it as a kid. I think as a kid, I enjoyed this much more than the crazy pink elephants on parade. Wait, no, it's pink elephants on parade in Fantasmic, not Heffalumps and Woozles.
Oh,
my apologies.
For shame. I guess
the other crazy elephant dream nuts sequence.
I guess we have to downgrade Emily from ultra mega Disney nerd to just mega Disney nerd.
I take offense. What was I even saying? I was making a point.
You were saying you were comparing it to.
This one didn't terrify me nearly as much as in Dumbo. I think I preferred this one much more as a kid.
This one is a little bit more.
This one wasn't scaring me.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a true statement. The one in Dumbo is a little bit more aggressive. Let's just go with that.
just a tad. Well, speaking on the subject of songs, since Heffalumps and Woozles is a big number in this, do you have a favorite song within the film? I really enjoy, it might just be the entire scene as a whole. The rain, rain, rain came down, down, down. It's very catchy.
Yeah, I think that might be my favorite song.
And actually. I like, what's actually the full name? The Blustery Day song.
Yeah.
The introduction to the second act.
Yeah. Okay.
Where Pooh's prancing around.
Yeah.
Strolling around. It's really catchy.
Yeah, I think.
Blustery Day today.
I think I like the rain one.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I like April Showers, because April Showers, I feel like it's like from Bambi is in the similar vein, right?
Because there's rain.
I thought there was a similar way and they were delivered, but I think that one, I do like the opening song with all the character. Well, like now that I know all the details behind it with how it was composed and all that, but I think the soundtrack is very good. Sorry,
I didn't mean to. It's getting excited that you called out Winnie the Pooh as being one of your favorite songs. I feel that's one of those very classic Disney songs. It reminds me of those big opening numbers, like for Peter Pan. It's this big chorus singing. Like it gives me all the warm and fuzzies. I love it so much.
No, great soundtrack.
Very bouncy.
Very bouncy.
It's all good, all together, through and through. Just great music.
Very
you
bouncy.
go, Sherman Brothers.
Yeah, you go, Sherman Brothers.
let's dive into maybe characters.
Okay.
I asked you this, I think, in last week's episode, and we decided we would wait to answer that until you saw the film.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite character or characters? And this can be a tough one when we're working with such a great group of lovable friends here.
Yeah, I don't know. Just going off the movie, what would be my favorite character?
I think I've already made it known who my favorite is. Piglet. He's so cute.
Yeah, I would think.
I also just generally relate a lot to Piglet. Just being nervous and terrified of most things. Yeah.
Man, I'm not actually sure if I have a favorite. Because I think if you were to ask me, probably just without having seen it, I probably would say Tigger, probably.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not even sure if I would say that after watching the movie. I do like his character, but I'm just trying to think if there's more. I'm not sure how to answer that question, actually.
You don't know.
I don't know. Maybe I had to get more exposed to the greater Pooh-niverse of Pooh content.
I think we're going to do just that as the series continues.
Yeah. Then we'll do a determination.
Maybe at the very end, you need to come prepared with an answer. The final episode of our Pooh series.
Yeah, maybe that's the way to do it.
Okay.
Maybe that's the way to do it. Because it's just going off of this one. I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Okay. That's okay. You can think on it a little more.
All right, I'll think about it.
So, overall, you do there's so many good ones to probably choose from.
Yeah.
That's what makes it so difficult.
Maybe I relate most to Eeyore.
I love it. Eeyore's so great. That's the thing. They all have their moments. They all have moments that make you laugh, and you just love them for different reasons.
Maybe my crippling caffeine addiction is like me getting my tail nailed back on being Eeyore. It's the only thing that keeps me going. Get my tail back on. Keep my coffee. No? Okay. That joke landed very flatly.
What?
Oh, thanks for noticing or not even noticing my joke.
I was just confused.
Yeah. Okay.
So we've talked about how Winnie the Pooh very much resonates with a lot of people.
Yes.
And he's become just as iconic as Mickey Mouse. What do you think makes Winnie the Pooh and his world so special, and why has it remained so beloved and to the point where it just resonates with so many people and holds a big special place in their hearts?
This is a good question, Emily.
Okay.
Well done.
I already have some answers written, and you can, if you want to.
Okay.
If you want to spearhead off of those, that's fine. So kind of the way I've put it together, Pooh's this lovable, huggable friend that shares the curiosity and innocence that's relatable for children. So as a kid going to this, you can relate to all the things that Pooh feels. Like, he says it how it is. He's not playing around with anything. He's not doing these hidden meanings.
He's the bear.
He's just Pooh.
Brain.
He says what he wants. He's just himself.
Yeah.
For adults, Pooh reminds themselves of what it used to be to have that kind of childlike wonder. And it takes you back to that moment in time when you could just go outside, play with your friends, and there weren't really cares in the world. It's a much simpler world where everyone enjoys the simple pleasures and beauty and has these loyal friendships. So it takes you back to that kind of mindset. Kids relate because that's where they are. But as an adult, it helps us revisit that place that you can't find in a lot of areas.
No, I think these are all good points. I think that's probably something that's very true. I think that all the characters of the 100 Acre Wood represent, and you can align yourself to any one of those characters in a number of different ways. You can find things
that you might pull from each of them. You may not fully identify with one person. I think we all can have little bits of each character.
And it's all something that we all make believe had at some point in our life. And so I think there's a lot of what you said. I think that definitely is why these characters resonate. It's a very special world, the 100 Acre Wood, that you can kind of retreat to and go back to.
It's a safe place.
Yeah, exactly. And kind of not necessarily forget all the troubles, but walk away from them for a little bit and enjoy some time with a bear of very little brain whose only goal in life is to get some honey and be a good friend. He's a very good friend. Like, there's the part of the blustery day where Eeyore is like, "Oh, hey, Al, I found your new home," and it happens to be Piglet's home. And Piglet, who's like, "Well,
Piglet doesn't know how to say it."
Piglet's like, which is like you. You're like, "I don't know how to say no." So sure. And then Pooh's just like, you'll come live with me, buddy. We'll be good.
Yeah, don't worry. It's
Yeah,
okay.
So.
I do like how you framed it, where the 100-acre wood isn't necessarily something you can just hide within. It can be a partial escape.
Yeah.
But I think people go there because it does bring comfort in times when you may not be having the best time. We're not feeling so good. It immediately like fills you up. It gives you the warm and fuzzies. That's the best way I like to say it. And it's a movie, and even with the books too, these are very simple stories, but it's the character and humor that make it so heartwarming. It's all about being wholesome through and through and giving you comfort when you need it.
And I think you did, I'm not sure if you said it yet, but you noted is they all have.
Oh, you're gonna take my really good point, aren't you? You read it.
I love it when a character, and this is why a lot of the Marvel superheroes resonate a lot, because one of Stan Lee's principles with designing and developing characters was that they had a very kind of like a, I don't know, a flaw or like a setback, so you can relate to them.
But Winnie the Pooh, these are heightened to the 10th degree.
So they're very interesting character, and their character studies, and they all have a flaw,
like a major flaw that encompasses their entire personality, and that's what drives their actions and drives the story. And you might, on paper, when you say, okay, Pooh's obsessed with honey, and that's the one thing he's after, where that thing about him, that's what brings you so much humor, and that's part of why you love him. It isn't their flaws that make you question the film or dislike the characters. It's their flaws that make you love them and relate to them.
I think that's the biggest thing is a perfect character a lot of times is a boring character.
Absolutely.
And a flawed character gives you something that you can relate to in a lot of different ways, because you can see, you know, we all have our own flaws to some extent, and sometimes you can see those flaws in those characters, and that makes them more relatable, or even maybe some minor flaws or minor things that you're dealing with, and that's what makes the characters that much more relatable. Maybe that's one of the things with, let's say, Mickey Mouse, because Mickey kind of represents, he's basically kind of the perfect character.
He's the perfect mouse.
He's the perfect mouse.
He's friendly. He's happy.
Now, there's a lot of reasons for that. I'm not saying that, you know, Mickey needs a crippling addiction to, like, you know, something.
You don't need to give him anything. We love Mickey.
Yeah, but then maybe that's why Pooh is up there so much for the Pooh, and the Pooh characters are up there so much for a lot of people, is they're flawed, and honestly, flawed characters make for better characters in a lot of ways. And that's probably why they relate so much more in some cases to Pooh, because, you know, they have a much more deeper emotional connection to those characters because of those flaws.
Yeah, I fully agree. And I think too why maybe Winnie the Pooh is also held up so well and why it does resonate with people. It's kind of like with the quote we started out with. It doesn't just rely on slapstick. It's all about the warmth and the authenticity of the characters. They're not always making the right decisions or the logical decisions.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why you love them. They're not doing the right thing. They're doing it because of how their personality is set up.
Yeah. No,
and that makes for a really great film.
I agree.
Okay. All right, here we go. Now, the ending.
Now, I'll have you, everyone. Was I right on my thing?
I have a whole section here to read about. So explain the ending.
I'm gonna regret telling this portion of the story, but I was over at the community pool after I got done with my lap swim or something.
Were you thinking about this while you're swimming?
I was thinking about it after I was swimming. So when I was coming back to the house, I was like, you know, maybe it was when I was done with my run. I don't know. That's not really relevant, I guess, to the story. But I was
Clayton's having deep reflection on Winnie the Pooh.
Well, I was like, man, I gotta impress my wife. Okay, so then I was thinking about the ending, because I know you mentioned something about it, but you were like, we're not going to talk about it until after you see the movie. I don't want to spoil anything. So I was thinking about it, and then I was wondering, well, considering the place that this movie has in Disney history, I was wondering if this was a parallel or an allegory for a specific event that happened. So why don't we talk about the final added scene, and we'll see if I was right. I won't spoil anything.
Okay. And we'll obviously get your thoughts on how this whole film concluded. All right, everyone involved in this project knew that the final scene of this film was going to be Pooh and Christopher Robin saying goodbye. Christopher Robin tells Pooh that it's time for him to leave the 100-acre wood behind, as he is now starting school. In it, he and Pooh discuss what they liked doing together, and he asks Pooh to promise to remember him and to keep some of the memories of their time together alive. He agrees, and the film closes with the narrator saying that wherever Christopher Robin goes, Pooh will always be waiting for him whenever he returns. See, this is kind of like what I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
It's the perfect parallel to why I think kids and adults can so much relate to these stories. Like, adults can always come back to that childlike wonder, that place of comfort whenever they need it. Like, it's always waiting for them. You can't outgrow it. It is there. It's like the same mentality of why Walt built Disneyland. Like, of course, kids are going to have a fun time, but it's just as meant for kids as it is adults, because in life, as you get older, it can be a lot harder to try and explore that childlike wonder, especially without being given judgment nowadays, too. People might look down on you and saying you're childish for doing these things, but if anything, adults need that just as much as kids do, and to lean into that when they can. I feel like that's kind of the perfect way. It's by ending the film that way, saying you can come back whenever you want. And Christopher Robin asking Pooh, will you ever forget about me?
Yeah, that's good. I think that's very good. That's a good thought.
I have a little bit more here. It's an incredible and very moving scene to end the film on. It's entirely a loving tribute to the final chapter and the ending of the Winnie the Pooh books. In turn, the film and book's ending also directly parallels the author's, A.A. Milne's, life and why he stopped writing the Pooh books. His son, Christopher Robin, would now be going to school, and A.A. Milne, in a way, lost his inspiration for writing those stories about his son's adventures with Pooh and all his friends in the 100-acre wood. It's very true. That's why he completely stopped even writing the Pooh books. People wanted him to continue and questioned, and A.A. Milne basically felt like, well, my son's getting older. I don't really feel the drive to do this anymore. I'm kind of past this.
Yeah.
And that is basically, to a degree, how the books do end, is by Christopher Robin saying, I'm going off to school, and he needs to say goodbye to that part of his life as he's growing up. All right. So I want to kind of go off of your thought, if it was meant to be a tribute to Walt of sorts. I could see how it's very emotional, and the way the scene is framed, how everyone involved could have been taking their actual experience of losing Walt and putting that into it. That was not the reason for it fully being there, because that was part of the books.
Right.
And they wanted to capture the original story and end the film that way. They felt like that was a great way to do it, but it does hit very heavily, and there's a lot of parallels to what was actually going on at the time, and saying goodbye to Walt and having to continue forward.
Yeah, no, that's why I was thinking it was because he was heavily involved in the movie, and then he was gone, and they were kind of laying that final piece of it to rest, saying goodbye. This was like the final thing that he would have touched that would have been, I guess, in production, let's say. I know, like, you know what I mean in that, because it's kind of tricky. Like, well, he was on.
He worked on a lot of things still,
but it's like the
end.
final thing that he was so heavily invested in on the animation side, right? Because he passed before Blustery Day was released. So I think I could definitely see how that could be interpreted that way. Obviously, I did it. So
yeah, I don't think that's a wrong correlation to try and gather from this at all, because you can feel it when you watch the scene. Something I want to relate it to almost is in Muppet Christmas Carol, how there's definitely some scenes in there. I mean, I don't think it's a spoiler to say how A Christmas Carol goes. But when they're talking about Christmas is yet to come and the passing of Tiny Tim, and all the Muppets kind of take a moment, they're very saddened because they lost someone.
Yeah.
It has another meaning as well, since Muppet Christmas Carol was the first film without Jim Henson. So it was almost them taking a moment to honor him and say goodbye.
Yeah.
No, so to me, I kind of that obviously was part of the story before, but there's more emotional weight and heaviness to it because of what was actually happening in the company at the time. It's the same type of deal.
Yeah, no, I agree with that statement.
Now, I just have to point this out. I always had a very hard time with this ending scene as a kid. Very similar. We talked about this when we did the Clayton Watches, The Fox and the Hound.
Mm-hmm.
I had a bit of a hard time processing the end of that film too.
Right.
Because it's not just a happy ending where, okay, we're all friends and we can go off and live happily ever after. They go their own ways. This is the same kind of thing. It's a hard concept as a kid to grasp.
To not have the happy ending, to have a
it's
happy
very,
but sad.
It's very bittersweet.
Ending, yeah,
it's incredibly sweet. They're still friends. It's not saying we're never going to see each other again. But Christopher Robin's going down a new path and he has to grow up. And in a way, he's saying goodbye to his childhood.
Yeah, no, and I think that's something you don't grasp very well when you're as a kid. And you kind of want to stay a kid forever. But when you grow up and you look back on this movie, you kind of see that that's something that we all do to some extent. We all had imaginary friends. I'm hoping.
Not just you.
Did I have imaginary friends? I gotta be careful. My mom will comment down below. Yeah, you had.
Yeah, you had 10 of them.
It was his name was Timmy.
They were the nerdiest friends alive.
No, what I used to do actually was when we were sitting in the car, I would play like spaceships, but I would be doing the sounds out loud. I'm sure I got to preemptively cut her off at the knees on the commenting, embarrassing things. That's what I used to do mostly. But yeah, no, I agree. It can definitely be tougher to understand because it's a sweet ending, but as you said, bittersweet in the sense that he's growing up, he's going away. It's something that as adults we all understand more so than as kids, and
it's accepting change, which is very difficult. It's very difficult to grasp as a kid.
Yeah.
I also want to say, like, the one sentence, aside from being bittersweet, it's deeply touching, but in all of the best ways possible. Because I didn't walk away from it as a kid like, I hate that ending. I walked away just a little sad, but it's still very sweet. I always loved it. It was just harder for me to accept it.
Yeah, that can make sense. I understand that.
Yeah, one more little bit about this end scene, Clayton. It's this little boy saying goodbye to his basic childhood. The voice actor for Christopher Robin, John Walmsley, even said that if you listen to his lines of dialogue very closely, you can hear that he just starts to completely lose it. He felt it was the best scene he had ever done because it's authentic and completely sincere. And a lot of this has to do with him being the same age as Christopher Robin at the time when he was recording, and he was just playing himself pretty much. He was just a little boy. And the reason why his voice gets a little shaky, you can tell there's emotional depth to it, and he's actually feeling what he's saying. It's because he's kind of acknowledging for the first time that childhood doesn't last forever.
This kid grew up real fast, real quick right there when he was in that recording. But he's, wait, what do you mean I'm not going to be a kid forever? But no, I think no, it's definitely one of those endings that gets you to think, and I think that's probably why this movie again resonates, because as an adult you look back and you're like, okay, yeah, I can see what this is trying to entail. If you're a parent, it's got a whole another level of things.
Emotional.
So there's for a movie that's been out for 50, almost 50 years now, like in some way 50 plus years, it's still very relevant, a very good movie.
Do you think it's the perfect way to end this?
Yeah,
I do. I think it's the perfect ending. I love it more the older I get too.
I will have to see how it ages.
You're like, I cannot answer that. I've only seen it once.
Okay.
Do you have anything else you want to talk about with the film before we make our final closing statements?
No, I don't think I have anything else to add. I think we've covered it.
Here's my question for you.
Yeah.
Was it better than you thought it was going to be? Did you enjoy it more than you maybe anticipated?
Yeah. I did.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
You didn't even have to think about it. You're like, yeah.
Well, it's a very well done movie.
I'm a Pooh-ophile now.
It's a very well done movie. It's everything about it.
The characters, the story, the humor.
I love the animation, which is kind of sketchy, which is my favorite moment.
Kind of it's not like you're saying sketchy as in like questionable.
When we say the sketch, we're saying it's in the sketch realm of the Disney or the sketch period of Disney. So you can see the line work, and I'm on record saying this is my favorite portion of Disney animation because you're basically seeing the artist's pen stroke. So when you are talking about characters and animators like Milt Kahl and Ollie Johnson and Frank Thomas and Mark Davis, and
you're speaking my language.
And a lot of these characters, like when you watch the Imagineering story, you see them pop up. I would pay cold, hard cash Disney if I could get some Mark Davis
Disney.
Pirates of the Caribbean concept art to hang on my walls.
Yeah, start selling all of those.
So I know you got them. Just photocopy them, put them on a printer, and print me out some. I would pay cold hard cash.
What about Haunted Mansion ones from Mark Davis?
I would get both, obviously. Let's not play
not
favorites.
Even a question.
It's not even a question. But you see those, and then you see the line works. That's why I love it, because it's the closest you will ever get to seeing the actual animator's brushstrokes, considering the animation process up until then was they drew it. It got copied by a completely different people on cells, painted by different people on cells. So it's the closest you'll ever get to actually seeing the animations in the hand-drawn sense, let's say.
You feel more of a connection to the actual artist when watching these movies that have that sketchy feel. It's honest. It feels authentic.
Yeah.
You feel closer to it. It doesn't feel like it's trying to be perfect, which I can appreciate.
Yeah.
Not everything has to be perfect and cleaned up to be a work of art.
I think, honestly, if they did a return to that,
please,
I wouldn't even question it.
Here's
I think
our money.
it'd be fantastic. Yeah. I would go see that for $1. And even if it was
more
bad,
than $1.
well, technically, yeah, more for $1. More dollars. But if that was how hand-drawn came back, I would be
all over it.
All over it, Disney.
And just have some fun with it.
Hand-drawn animation, Disney. Bring it back.
We need it. We need it.
I'll tell you how you get people in those seats. Obviously, you have to make a good movie, but...
And market it.
Market it. But also, hand-drawn animation.
Yes. Do those things.
I'll
follow them.
One comment on that front.
Yes.
Also, maybe we just do like random weird stories now, and it's not human beings are the center focus, because that seems to be given more area. That's but because I really liked Elemental. I'm just saying, so I'm just giving them ideas.
You really liked. Wait.
I liked Elemental more than I liked Elio. So
you didn't really like Elemental. We need to watch it again.
I think the memory of it is grown on me. I think for a number of reasons I do. Yes, it's like an elemental form of Zootopia, but that's whatever. But it's grown on me a little bit, I think. So I think stuff like that. Okay.
You want fantastical worlds to escape to.
Yeah. Let's go to Monsters, Inc., but let's not do Monsters, Inc. 3. Let's think about it and do like a different thing, but the same realm. Okay.
Not about that right now.
Sorry.
Let's talk about the current animated film. I don't know.
Did I black out? What's going on?
I don't know how you got us here. Let's end on this. The moment everyone's been waiting for. We did this the last time.
Did you look up the notes of what I rated these last time?
Oh, no, I didn't.
Oh, great.
I'll make a mark of it and keep track of this new list.
All right.
The last Clayton Watches, which was Atlantis.
Yeah.
We did the ranking of all the ones that Clayton has had to watch for the first time for the podcast. Yeah. I'll just run through them really quick. If you also want to check them out and listen for yourself on Clayton's thoughts after seeing them for the first time. Episode 36, we did Treasure Planet. Episode 61, Brother Bear. Episode 90, The Rescuers. Episodes 112 to 113, The Fox and the Hound. And episode 144 to 147, Atlantis. Now, you want to notice something that seems to be a trend here as we've continued doing these Clayton Watches.
Yeah, the first couple I did the research on. And now you can see who's done the research and they got back half.
It's like the episode number continually is exponentially increasing at this point. I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do. So we're adding To Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh to this list. So this will be 6 movies in total out of all of those. Let's start from the bottom up, and you'll end on what number 1 is your favorite out of all of them. What is your number 6 spot? Against Treasure Planet, Brother Bear, Rescuers, Fox and the Hound, Atlantis, Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. Atlantis at number 6, really? I think your list has changed. I don't think it was the bottom last time. That's
really?
okay.
No, I'm pretty sure it would have been because it's clearly not better than any of those other movies.
Don't say it's clearly not. Atlantis is a favorite for many people. So it's just your opinion. Don't say it's clearly.
Whenever I say anything in this, it's my opinion. I apologize. So yes, okay. Yes, Atlantis is number 6.
Okay. What is your number 5 spot?
Fox and the Hound?
Why'd you say that with a question?
I don't know. I would say Treasure Planet is number 4. And that movie is so much better if that back half didn't have that one annoying character in it, but that's a different thing. Okay, a Treasure Planet. Oh no, Brother Bear the Rescuers.
Okay, so we just have Brother Bear the Rescuers and now Winnie the Pooh.
The Rescuers, probably.
Oh, okay. Oh my gosh! Wow, Winnie the Pooh is
okay, am I going off of my favorite or how I see them as better?
These are your personal preferences.
I don't know it anymore.
Which one do you think is the better film?
Well,
is it Brother Bear, Winnie the Pooh?
Well, obviously, Winnie the Pooh is the better film.
Is that the one you enjoy more? It is the one you enjoy more. I know you do. I know you, Clayton. I know you.
I think Brother Bear I enjoyed more, but I think Winnie the Pooh, objectively speaking, is the better movie.
Oh, absolutely.
So, I'm objective here. I'm objectively speaking, it's the better movie.
Would you really though, in any reality, put Brother Bear above Winnie the Pooh?
I just didn't. Did I stutter? No, I didn't.
I'll just frame it this way. Winnie the Pooh is solid from start to finish. Brother Bear is not. It has structural problems. It does have some lagging points.
Yeah, it does.
It had potential to be one of the greats.
Yeah.
But it didn't. Winnie the Pooh, it's one of the greats.
It's one of the greats. And there we have it. Winnie the Pooh is my favorite movie now.
I'm so happy. Oh my gosh.
All right. Don't get too carried away.
This makes me so happy.
All right, so this is what's coming next now that we've finished. What is it, the park rides?
We need to talk about some sequels.
Oh, is that what's coming next?
Yeah, we're going to cover all of the content first.
Oh.
As far as media is concerned.
So is that like one episode or like 2 episodes?
To be determined, Clayton, because I have some more information to share, and then we need to watch some movies. And then it's Pooh in the parks. We're talking about some Pooh in the parks.
You're not talking about the day
We're not talking about our favorite bathrooms.
You're not talking about the day that the park opened up, right? Original park opening, and how Walt had to choose to make sure that the bathroom still worked.
There's the stories
at the price of everyone having to buy Coke in the parks.
Yeah. Hey, you can't have people peeing in Main Street.
No, you can't.
You need them to have a bathroom. There's the story of Walt running around the park with toilet paper.
Yeah. No, I mean, this has been the mini adventures of Winnie the Pooh. Finally, now let's check notes.
Finally.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 episodes.
6.
Who knows anymore?
Question mark.
So this has been the mini adventures of Winnie the Pooh. Again, apparently we're doing more Pooh content next week.
Bring on the Pooh.
So tune in for that.
Pooh-rific.
If you are enjoying the show, again, we love it if you could leave a review over on Apple Podcast or subscribe over on YouTube. If you want to support the show, head on over to Patreon. We have just uploaded, hopefully here, our day in the city. We went to the Walt Disney Family Museum, saw the bridge, saw the Walt Disney Family Museum, went to a very cool Jim Henson talk. So we talk all about that on that, and that will be up on Patreon. So if you want to support the show and keep the lights on, as we like to say, head on over to Patreon and subscribe there. We're trying to rework some of the content over there so that you get the most bang out of your buck. We've asked a lot of our Patreons, which we really do appreciate. And honestly, I'm there for the vibes. That's great, but we want to make sure that you're getting the content you want. But yeah, we appreciate any support. So we'd love to have you over there. Otherwise,
go check us out on Instagram. Follow us at Make a Magical Pod if you want to see more of our adventures. That's where we are most of the time.
We will be in the parks in a little over 3 weeks. Steve believes. Yep. So that'll be fun. So
yeah, so trip recap coming up soon also.
So definitely
we'll actually get to see Pooh in the parks.
Yeah, we'll be seeing Pooh in the parks. Actually, because was that whole place? No, that was open last time. It wasn't under construction because Tiana's was actually open last time. We're in Disneyland, right?
No.
Oh, that was Disney World.
We've only been on Disney World.
Oh, okay.
We haven't been on Disneyland's Tiana's yet.
Wow.
That's why we haven't shared our thoughts.
How old am I?
I want to experience Disneyland's first.
So yeah, we'll be doing that. So perfect time to follow along. Again, that's at Make It Magical Pod on Instagram.
Correct.
Okay. Anything else?
And we have more things always, but I think we've hit people with enough plugs.
All right. Now, so I guess with that, Emily.
Poo-lugs?
Poo-lugs.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, me?
Yeah, you. That's how it generally goes. That's so.
Oh, the sign off. That's how this works.
Yeah.
Remember to be kind to each other and let's make it
magical.
magical. Bye, everyone.